Jamaica's prime minister has declared the entire country a disaster area, even though, with limited communication across the island, they are only just beginning to assess the damage. It could take weeks to fully determine the extent of the destruction. Meanwhile, Hurricane Melissa is marching on, heading north over the Caribbean, aiming straight for Cuba. The winds have eased a tiny bit, if you can even call it that, making Melissa a Category 4 storm now, with winds clocked at 150 miles an hour. But make no mistake, Melissa is deadly dangerous already. The hurricane is being blamed for 7 fatalities, 3 in Jamaica during storm preparations. And there are now worries that more could be on the way. Joining us now is Matt Benz, senior meteorologist at AccuWeather. And Matt, this is a very slow-moving storm. It's creeping along at just 8 miles per hour. That's causing huge problems with rainfall.
Yeah, that was really the issue the last number of days with the lead up to landfall in Jamaica. It was the slow motion of the storm, which dropped a large amount of moisture ahead of the storm, not even before it made landfall here earlier on today. So that slow motion continues at the moment. The good news, it's going to speed up here over the next 24 hours. It gets picked up by a trough over the eastern U.S., and that will eventually take it out into the Atlantic. But in the meantime, still a slow go across the northern Caribbean.
Where's the eye of the storm now?
Eye of the storm now just moving off of land across northern portions of Jamaica, now in that channel between Jamaica and Cuba. So it's going to spend some time over the next few hours over that very warm water of the northern Caribbean, perhaps maintaining intensity and then eventually making landfall here later on tonight in the eastern portion of Cuba.
Some of these images we've gotten from the Hurricane Hunter airplanes are absolutely staggering, showing not just the eye of the hurricane, but the wall. We're seeing it right here. It looks like a stadium. One of the Hurricane Hunter planes actually had to abort its mission, which hardly ever happens because of extreme turbulence.
Yeah, some of us here at AccuWeather stopped and we all gathered around computers here just watching that video because it is truly jaw-dropping. And when you get these incredibly intense storms like this, the towering thunderstorms around the center of the storm, you get that stadium effect, like you said, and truly jaw-dropping and unbelievable, and just showing you just how powerful the storm was. Not only the strongest storm to hit Jamaica, but this is tied for the strongest storm in the Atlantic making landfall, not only for wind speed, but also for pressure, tying the 1935 storm that went through portions of the Florida Keys.
Meteorologists say this storm is rewriting the record books. Is it because it's the strength of it? Is it because of the amount of rainfall it's dropping? Is it because of the wind speed? Is it all three?
It's a combination of all three, but what was truly amazing watching this storm really ramp up through the day on Sunday and then through yesterday, it never truly plateaued. Sometimes these storms go through what's called an eye replacement cycle. This never hit that. It just kept strengthening right up through landfall, which really make this a very unique system.
And just out of curiosity, it's marching north toward Cuba right now, might hit the Bahamas after that. Is the United States or any part of the continental U.S. in danger?
I think the continental U.S. will be okay. This storm will be steered more towards the east. Atlantic Canada could be on the very edge of this storm here as we head towards this weekend, but largely the east coast of the U.S. outside of rough surf will be missed here by the storm.
And what are you looking for in the next few hours when it hits Cuba?
Well, it's going to be impacting Cuba during the overnight. So unlike Jamaica, where it hit during the day, it's going to be more dangerous just because you'll see, you won't be able to see the flying debris or what is coming down outside. So we're going to look at the winds increasing across eastern Cuba, of course, rainfall increasing as well, and that storm surge will be surging as well over the next few hours.
How high is storm surge?
We're looking at storm surge right here at around 6 to 10 to 10 to 15 feet on the south central, southeastern coast of Cuba.
That's a lot of storm surge. Wow, very high.
Yeah.
All right, Matt Benz, thank you so much from AccuWeather. Joining us now is Camille Gale. She's on the ground in the Jamaican capital of Kingston, the largest city on the island. You're working with your AI company to provide real-time help. What are you seeing? What are the conditions there right now?
Well, right now we're in Kingston. The winds aren't as heavy as they were earlier today, but it's still quite a bit of winds. We have, we're barricaded, so we can't see outside very easily, but we can hear the gusts of winds. They're asking everyone to stay away from the doors, so we can't really tell, but there's still a lot of rain, still a lot of wind happening on the outside.
What was that like? This is the second biggest hurricane ever recorded. This is the largest hurricane to hit Jamaica. What did it sound like when you heard it?
It was terrifying. So it's a lot of whistling, a lot of, because sounds are coming in through the cracks. It's loud. The windows are shaking, and we're in Kingston, so we are further away from where it actually made landfall. So I can't imagine what happened on the western side of the island, because if it's affecting Kingston in this way, it was terrifying.
Yeah, I can imagine it was terrifying. This is the most heavily populated part of Jamaica. Did people take shelter? There was an evacuation order that went out, but officials were worried because a lot of people were saying, I'm going to write it out at home.
Well, I don't have those numbers, but it would seem as if people took shelter. The mayors went around, they had buses, they were picking people up. Some persons chose to ride it out at home. I'm sure others would have, because of the storm surge, because of the flooding that is anticipated. I mean, the Intelibus team for business continuity, we actually pulled some of our critical team members, and we are hosting them at a hotel. And they came with their families. So quite a few people, even in the midst of the storm, called us and said, they're concerned about flooding, and we told them to.
This morning, Hurricane Melissa is lashing Cuba. It crashed into the island nation just hours after devastating large parts of Jamaica, arrived in Cuba, making landfall as a Category 3 storm with winds of about 195 kilometers per hour. It brought heavy rain to southeastern Cuba before it made landfall, which caused extreme flooding in many streets. About 735,000 people were forced out of their homes as the storm approached, and Cuba's president had warned the storm would cause serious damage, that people should obey the evacuation orders. Officials in Jamaica are assessing damage to their country because Melissa battered much of it yesterday. One official said the infrastructure has been severely compromised, called it one of Jamaica's worst periods. More than 500,000 people were without power as of late yesterday. But let us bring you the very latest as we begin this day. Zara Burton is live in Kingston, Jamaica, the capital. Very, very difficult 24 hours for the people of Jamaica. Zara, what is the situation today as the day begins?
Heather, you can say that again. Look, where I am, I'm safe. I'm at the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, where all the government officials are, and a few media personnel were allowed to hunker down here. So we're okay. I looked outside this morning, everything is calm. And as the morning rises, I'll try to go outside so I can give your viewers a sense of just how outside of Kingston looks. However, this is not the case in the western side of the island. You had significant impacts in places like St. Elizabeth, places like Westmoreland, places like Hanover. Montego Bay Airport was also damaged. So that could impact the ability for tourists to leave. As of yesterday, there were 25,000 tourists that were on the island. You're talking about significant damage, roofs blown off. Clarendon had some levels of flooding. You also had there were cars and homes. We saw some of the utility vehicles. Talk about the fact that right now I can't contact some of the people in those parishes right now because they just don't have any internet service. And yet we saw images yesterday of Flow, which is one of the big telecom providers. Their vehicles were submerged in water, several of those vehicles. And so the TVJ reporter, the news reporter on site was saying, if these are recovery vehicles, this may take even longer to recover. We did have an announcement yesterday that Starlink was supposed to be providing some kind of service so that we all could maintain connectivity, but maybe the message got out late because it seems to me that we still have a problem connecting with our loved ones and different connections in the western side of the island to get full feedback about what has happened so far.
Zara, we just have a new track of the storm. So as we continue our conversation, just showing people where it is moving now. But again, as you and I are discussing, it hit with full force yesterday, one of the strongest Cat 5 storms on record. So given all of the challenges that you're just outlining to us and the difficulty for communication, I mean, are you even on the island at a point of starting recovery efforts, or Is that even underway at all yet?
The Prime Minister made that very clear that he's getting started. And in a tweet, he said, you know, our country, yes, has been ravaged by Hurricane Melissa, but we will rebuild and we will do so even better than before. And he encouraged Jamaicans to be hopeful as well. He said, you know, I know many of you, especially those in the affected parishes, are feeling disheartened. Your homes may have been damaged or destroyed, and your communities and towns no longer look the same. I know your pain and I feel your loss. We're mobilizing quickly to start the relief and recovery efforts, and we will be there with you every step of the way. This is what he said in a tweet a few hours ago. I just want to make a point as well that in terms of overall recovery, we have seen some individuals and even some groups come out and say that they're already supporting the recovery effort. We do have, for instance, the NBA that is in Miami Heat and also an NBA star, Jamal Murray. He also said he would donate. The NBA is putting in about $1 million into the recovery effort. There is also some support already voiced from the UN and of course from the United States, from the United Kingdom as well, I should say. And, you know, some of it, of course, is going to be humanitarian, some monetary, but every hand on deck right now. The big priority for the different officials here in Jamaica, the government officials, they've said it as of yesterday, we need to get relief to the people as soon as possible. There were some people yesterday that were marooned. They couldn't send crews out to get them because of the circumstances of the hurricane. They said that as soon as things improve, I mean, you know, they were able to help some people, but not everybody. And so that is the concern right now, getting the relief, getting to those people, getting food to some of the people, and getting shelter to some of the people whose roofs were gone.
Zara, you have just made it so clear the seriousness of the situation, and I thank you for the reporting live in Kingston.
This morning, Hurricane Melissa making another landfall, slamming into Cuba with driving rain and wind. The island evacuating more than 730,000 people, while U.S. personnel at Guantanamo Bay told to take shelter ahead of the storm. It comes just hours after Melissa's historic landfall in Jamaica as a catastrophic Category 5 hurricane with destructive 185-mile-an-hour winds.
Our infrastructure has been severely compromised.
Melissa unleashing raging floodwaters and a life-threatening storm surge, leaving neighborhoods like St. Elizabeth Parish completely underwater. This was the terrifying scene outside a local hospital. Melissa first roared ashore midday on Jamaica's southwestern coast before tearing across the island. This was the reaction from the meteorologist at NBC6 in Miami as he received a live update on the deadly storm's unbelievable power.
Oh my Jesus Christ. Okay. All right, I'm going to hold it together here.
Visitors at this hotel forced to evacuate to the ballroom, where they rode out the storm, huddled together on the floor. Christina and Tony Malshodi of Iowa are in Jamaica celebrating their anniversary. How scary has this ordeal been?
Oh, for me, it was horrific. It was absolutely terrifying.
Officials warning the damage assessment could take weeks and that the recovery could be hampered by airports that remain closed.
Yeah, now communication has been a real challenge where the storm made landfall, particularly with the cell phone towers down and those power outages. Jamaican officials saying today they do plan on assessing the nation's airports in Montego Bay and here in Kingston. And depending on what they find, they may be able to start those crucial relief flights to get aid to those areas that were ravaged by the storm. And President Trump saying the U.S. will provide humanitarian aid. Savannah?
George Solis leading us off in hard-hit Kingston, Jamaica. Thank you.
Of course, Al is following Melissa's destructive path, has a look at where the storm is now, where it's headed next.
Yeah, guys, good morning to you, and good morning to you as well. We are looking at this system right now. It's 60 miles west of Guantanamo, 115 miles per hour wind, so it's still a Category 3 storm, moving northeast at 12. This system, strongest Atlantic landfall on record, third strongest Atlantic hurricane ever. It was a Category 5 for 36 straight hours. The average is 18, and the fact is there's only 4 other hurricanes that ever lasted that long as a Category 5. Well, you can see the hurricane warning still up for Cuba, parts of the Bahamas, and then we got hurricane watches up for Bermuda. So here we go today. Strong rain and winds for the Bahamas. Some places picking up maybe 10 inches of rain, an 8-foot storm surge. We saw what that storm surge was like in Cuba, also in Jamaica as as well. Then by the time we get into tomorrow, it comes by Bermuda, but probably doesn't make a direct hit. However, the tropical moisture from Melissa starts to tap into this frontal system that's going to be affecting the Northeast and New England. So as that northeastern storm departs into Canada and Melissa becomes post-tropical, some of that rain and moisture gets funneled into the Northeast. We're going to take a look at that storm coming up a little bit later, guys.
Okay.